Well, good morning, everyone. It is 11 o'clock, which means it is time for us to begin our 8th annual convocation at East Georgia State College. And even though this is the 8th annual one, this is the first one that's virtual for reasons that we all know during these interesting times. And we have envisioned this event as an opportunity to offer students and the broader community, because they're always invited to participate also, the possibility of pursuing the higher educational and ethical potentialities that are encouraged by liberal learning. This is one of the things we like to emphasize. The purpose of the convocation is to celebrate new students, all those first-year students that are now at East Georgia State College, to celebrate their entry into higher education and to officially start the new academic year to induct these students into the freshman class with our Bobcat Pledge, and to build a sense of group identity or community among our academic family, and to share the college's mission and expectations to new and returning students. And so the whole idea is to welcome everyone and remind them that critical thinking in all these years of learning that they have in front of them are really crucial in making them better American citizens, and if they're not citizens, better people that reside in our community in the US to make the country a better country. So with that, I would like to turn it over to President Bomer, who will begin the process officially.
Good morning. Welcome to East Georgia State College's 2020 Academic Convocation. Thank you to Dean Carlos Cunha and Dean David Chevalier and the members of the college's Convocation Committee for planning and organizing this very important event. To our featured and distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Patrice Jackson of Augusta University. Welcome back to East Georgia State College, Dr. Jackson. We are honored by your presence. Thank you. I congratulate the Convocation Committee for the choice of today's topic, Leading with Civility. Civility is not passive. It calls us to action in a society in which we too often seek to silence opposing viewpoints and to belittle others or to treat others harshly because of their race, their color, or their beliefs. Civility finds its basis in respect. Respect for every person because of their humanity. It calls upon us to treat every person we encounter with the dignity every person deserves because of their humanity. Civility does not call on us to silence our opinions or to subjugate our opinions to those of others. It calls on us to voice those opinions with an appropriate measure of respect for opposing viewpoints. As you think about leading with civility today, I urge you to think about the life of civility lived by Georgia's own U.S. Representative John Lewis. Even as he crossed that bridge on Bloody Sunday in open defiance of racism and discrimination, he at every moment treated even his attackers with civility. I challenge everyone in this Bobcat community to hold themselves to that standard. It is now my pleasure to turn the program over to the director of East Georgia State College's first year experience, Mr. Rob Norton.
Good morning. We will be sharing or having the freshman class read the Bobcat Pledge together. And if that can be displayed on the screen at this time so that that can be read by the students.
I think the students actually have it on their D2L page.
Oh, okay.
And you know, Dr. Sharman will say a few words and then they will start the pledge.
Okay, so students, if you would unmute your microphones, and I'm going to count 3, 2, 1, and then if you would go ahead and read the pledge.
Let's have Dr. Sharman say a few words first.
Okay.
All right. This convocation and induction ceremony celebrate the transition that is taking place in your lives at this very moment. Because of your prior achievements, you have reached a personal and educational milestone. It is now time for you to join students who came before you to this campus in the pursuit of knowledge, discerning judgment, and responsible action. Mr. Norton.
All right, students, unmute your microphones. And 3, 2, 1.
As a member of East Georgia State College, I pledge to maintain high standards of scholarship and excellence. I will work with other students, faculty, and staff to strengthen teaching and learning on campus. I pledge to practice academic honesty.
I will model bold academic integrity to earn trust and respect from all members of the community.
I pledge to act
in a personally and socially responsible way. I will treat everyone in the EGSC community with civility, courtesy, compassion, and dignity.
and I will
Respect the property and environment of the campus.
I pledge to value the uniqueness of every member of the community. I will respect
and learn from the ideas and opinions of different people.
Thank you, students. You may now mute your microphones.
Students, you have earned a place in a community where learning and service is our purpose, and the ideals expressed in the Bobcat Pledge are our guideposts. Welcome to the community of scholars.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. David Chevalier. I am the interim dean of the School of Mathematics and Natural Science. First of all, let me thank Dr. Sherman and Mr. Norton for leading the Bobcat Pledge, and once again, to congratulate our students on the induction. East Georgia State College is proud to have Dr. Patrice Jackson as our guest speaker for the fall 2020 convocation event. Dr. Jackson is the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs at Augusta University. She served previously at Albany State University, Georgia Southern University, St. Mary's University, College of Charleston, and Trinity University. She earned a bachelor's in sociology from the College of Charleston, a master in counseling from Webster University, and a doctorate in education from Georgia Southern University. Dr. Jackson is a strong leader who has a student-centered approach and a passion for campus collaboration helps continue to enhance student life experience. Dr. Jackson's presentation on Leading with Civility is a timely and much needed guide for our students who are embarking on a new phase of their life at East Georgia State College during this uncertain time. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jackson.
Dr. Chevalier, thank you so much for that welcome. Thank you so much to President Bomer and Dr. Cunha, Dr. Cheeks, Ms. Hutchins, to the coordinating committee and to East Georgia State College. I am so excited to spend this precious time with you all today. And I tell you, I need a moment to get myself together, because after hearing your students recite the pledge together, it just fills my heart and reminds me of why I do this work. There are two reasons why I said yes to this invitation. Two reasons. And those two reasons are: one, I believe in the power of education, and I know about the power of education to change lives. The second reason is I believe in the power of community and people coming together and strengthening and supporting each other. When I went to college, students, now I'm talking to y'all, we're gonna talk real talk today. When I went to college, I remember walking in at orientation. I will never forget it. I walked into this room where we were supposed to register. My mom had driven me down to Charleston, South Carolina. My little sister was with us because she was not about to miss an overnight trip. And I walked into this place to register, and I looked around and I became overwhelmed. There was no one there that I knew. In that moment, I didn't even see anybody that looked like me. And I decided this was a bad decision. I should not be here. I'm just gonna go back out and tell mama we can go home. Well, if you have a mama like mine, you know that that was not gonna go too far. I went back out there and said, Mom, look, I made a bad decision. This is too much. I don't think I can stay here. I don't want to be here. Let's just go back home. I am so grateful that my mother loved me enough to look me square in my eye. And she said, let me tell you one thing. She said, we drove all the way down here. We ate McDonald's for breakfast this morning. I closed my hair salon to bring you down here. Oh, you are going to stay. Now go back in there and get yourself registered and let's do this. Now, today, as a mama, I can feel how that must have felt for her, for your child to say, I'm scared and I don't know if I can do this. But for her to love me enough to say, yes, you can, and yes, you will, you are going to go do this. Because of that love and because of that push, I'm sitting before you today 3 degrees in when I didn't know if I could do 1. I'm sitting before you today with a doctorate degree and with the opportunity to help other students through this process and through this experience, and to share with you all today, education has literally changed my life. I am from Crocketville, South Carolina. Oh, don't look at the screen like that. I know y'all don't know where Crocketville is. That's okay, because nobody lives there but my grandparents, my parents, and some cousins, okay? But it exists. In Crocketville, South Carolina, my family, to this day, that's where they are. They love harder than I do. They work harder than I do. They have faith deeper than mine. The only difference between the life that I've been able to give to my child and the opportunities and open doors that I have available to me and my family members is my education. They didn't have the privilege to do what I was privileged to do. And these 3 pieces of paper with my name on them have opened doors of opportunity for me that I never experienced would be open. So I say that to you, students, regardless of where you're from or what brought you to this point today or what made you decide to pursue education. I don't care how old you are or what your culture is or what your background is. I need to tell you before I say anything else, you made a good decision. You are in the right place at the right time. And no, every day is not going to be easy. But guess what? You can do hard things. And there are people at East Georgia State College who are going to help you do it because it is worth it. Anything worth having is going to take a sacrifice. Anything worth having is going to take work. But I am sitting before you as an example and a testimony that if you will stay with it, and if you will do your best and connect and lock arms with the people around you who are passionate about helping you, you're going to find yourself one day sitting in a seat like this, encouraging other people and other students of the difference that education has made in your life. So congratulations and welcome to this day. Welcome to this day. My second reason is I believe in the power of community. There were people in my path from undergraduate through my master's, through my doctorate, and even to this day. There are people who helped me along the way. When I went to college, y'all, I didn't know textbooks cost money. I didn't know what a FAFSA was or how to fill it out. I had no idea how to do it. It's not that my family didn't want it for me, but they didn't have the experience to share. But there were people who rallied around me and connected with me and showed me the way and encouraged me and wouldn't let me give up and taught me what I didn't know. And I am so grateful for that community, for that village, for those people who helped me through. And you're going to do that for each other. So I'm going to get into our talk here. I encourage you, once I am done, we are going to open up the chat for anybody who would like to submit questions, or if you would like to share comments throughout, feel free to do that. But I have some things that I want to share with you all today about leading with civility. And I am going to pull up my slides here so that we can get started. And then let's get started on our talk today. So thank you, East Georgia College, for prioritizing this need for leaders to lead with civility. And yes, I know that this is your first year and you are a first-year student, but you are a leader. Somebody is watching you. Someone is learning from you. Someone is following your pace. So already in your life, you are a leader. And we want to encourage our students to get this education. Absolutely. Get this education, because I'm telling you, it's a ticket in your hand. But when you get this education, we want you to know what to do with it so that you make a positive impact on whatever community you find yourself a part of. So you're going to have your degree, but you're also going to have some knowledge in your heart that will help you make a positive impact with that degree. And that is what we're talking about today as we talk about leading through civility. So let's get started. What do you see in this picture? I know that we're not talking back to each other yet, so I'm going to talk you through it, okay? Many people may say, I see a vase. I see a vase. Other people, when I share this picture, say, I see two faces. There are others who say, I see both. It's all about perspective. If you look hard enough, you can see that there is more than what meets the eye in this one picture. Life is the same way. There's always more than one side to a story. There's always more than one perspective in every situation or every topic that we are dealing with. So our goal today is not to bring all of us to agreement on everything. That's not how this works. Actually, we are an institution of higher education. We learn from difference. We learn from disagreement. It's rich. It makes our experience rich. So our goal is not to convince you to choose one side or the other today. Actually, our goal today is to encourage you to see and open your eyes that there is more than one side. Maybe I'm very familiar with a certain side because that's what I've taught, or that's what I've been taught. That's what I've seen. That's what I've grown up in. But can we look at every situation? And even if there's disagreement, can we at least see that there's a different perspective? So we are looking at perspective today and how we engage with that perspective to strengthen our community. So I'm going to share with you 4 practices of leading with civility today. And again, these are practices that I have gathered along the years from reading and from experiences and from hearing others that I just want to share with you. I think if we simplify it into 4 steps, it might be easier for us to apply it to our lives. And that's our goal today, that you will take something with you that you can apply right away. And if everybody here, our faculty, our staff, our students, if everybody makes the commitment right now that you're going to take something out of this talk that you can apply to your life, I believe that East Georgia State College and every community that you are a part of will be better just because you're in it. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So the first practice that we're going to talk about today is watch your words. Watch your words. We live in a society where we are so comfortable using our words carelessly. And yes, there are phrases and metaphors and euphemisms that we use with different cultures and different families, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to remember that words have power. You know, there's that little saying that you may have heard. I know I heard when I was growing up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is untrue. All of us joining today can think of at least one comment that hurt our feelings so much that we still remember it word for word till this day. Words have power. If you think about advertising, I could say the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, right? I'm probably telling how old I am, but somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. Or at Burger King, you can have it your way. All of these words have power. When I think about the impact of Dr. Martin Luther King, for example, it was his action and what he did while he lived and how hard he worked. But the thing that we hold on to more today is what he said. And those words live on from generation to generation and continue to shape and hone our communities. So words have power. And we are responsible as civil leaders to assess and consider what will be the impact of the words that I am sharing in this moment or in this day. Who will be impacted by the words of your mouth, and how will they be impacted? For our faculty members, I know that you know that academic mindset is so important for our students. It's one thing for them to have the intellect, which they all have, or they wouldn't be here. All of them have the intellect, the mental ability to be successful. It's not the mental ability that stands in our way, but it's our belief and the words that we've been taught about that ability. So do you believe you can do it? If a faculty member tells you, you can do this, yes, it's difficult, but I believe in you, you can do this, versus saying something like, and I know this will never happen at East Georgia College, I know that, but just for an example, to say, oh, well, what high school taught you math? Or where did you get that answer? What were you thinking? All of those words have power. And as the faculty and staff members who are responsible for supporting our students and walking them through this process, we want to make sure that all of our words propel them and push them forward towards their goal. That doesn't mean we don't tell the truth in love. There are times where we need to share what is true, right? Absolutely. But there's a way to package those words. There's a body language, there's an eye contact, there's a tone of voice to share truth in a way that somebody can receive it in their heart, versus a way to share the same words, but within a package that is harmful or that causes damage to a person. So what words are you sharing, and how are you packaging your words? Do you package your words in a way that people can receive it? Even in our conversation today, we are all meeting virtually. We're all meeting electronically. And our desire is that we could all physically be in the same room right now. And of course, we understand that that's not the safest decision. So we're meeting in this forum, but even in this forum, because we are sharing words, I believe that the words that we're sharing, the pledge that you said out loud, this conversation that we're having is driving directly to your heart and will affect your behavior. That's the power of words. Our world is framed by our words. And I'll just say one more thing about words. What words are you saying to yourself? Students, what do you say to yourself? My grandma always told me, baby, you're going to have exactly what you say. What does that mean? If I rehearse, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. The more I say it, the more my mind starts to believe it, and that's exactly what I'm going to get. It doesn't mean that I don't have the ability, but it does mean that I've convinced myself that that is my truth, and I've held on to that. But if I turn that around and say the opposite, I can do this. I am well able. I am smart enough. I am strong enough. I work hard enough. I can accomplish every one of my goals. The more you say it, even if it doesn't look true, if you're looking at that test you just got back and it's a C or a D, we're hoping it's not worse, but sometimes it might be. And you're looking at that test, you can still tell yourself, I can do this. I am able. I am strong. I am smart. And the more that you talk to yourself in an encouraging way, the more that you are going to believe it and that it's going to manifest in your life. So let's make sure that when we walk into a room or when we are a part of a community, that we use words to build up that community, that we use our words to strengthen that community and not to tear it apart and not to bring damage to the people who we walk beside on a daily basis. So number 2, check your baggage at the gate. So occasionally I have an opportunity to travel on an airplane. And if you've ever traveled on an airplane, you know that there's only a certain size of baggage that you are allowed to take on the plane with you. You can bring your baggage, but if it's of a certain size, you got to check that bag at the gate, right? So I brought my big bag. Can y'all see it? I brought my big bag today just to show you. This bag, number 1, is purple. It's purple because then I know it's mine, okay? When it's coming out of the airplane, there's no delay. I know that purple bag is mine. But it's also pretty big. And that means I can put a lot of stuff in it, which I do, which means it's pretty heavy. The airlines will not allow me to bring this baggage on the plane with me. They have a place for it under the plane that this bag goes. What am I trying to tell you? Every one of us has baggage. We have a background. We have a culture. We have things that we've been taught. We have things that we have heard. We have beliefs. We have opinions. All of us have baggage. We should not roll our big baggage around on top of everybody else's toes and expect everybody to just accept our baggage. Everybody is allowed to have baggage, but when we come to work, when we come to class, when we come to be a part of the community, we've got to learn how to work through our baggage and stow it away so that other people are not being harmed by our baggage. You know, I talk about my husband a lot because he's just pretty awesome. He just is. I love him and I'm so grateful for him. But he taught me how to handle our home baggage. He taught me. When we first got married, he taught me how to handle our home baggage. I come from very fiery women, very fiery. I admit that. Very strong, don't take no stuff kind of women, okay? There's strength in that. Nothing wrong with that. But So when we had our first, let's call it just a passionate conversation. We don't argue, okay? Just a passionate conversation. I was ready. You hear me? It was my very first one, newly married, didn't know what to expect. I was ready. Listen, I will go toe to toe. I don't mind. At that point, I've gotten a little wiser, y'all. But at that point, I was ready for him. I'm so grateful for his wisdom. So grateful for his wisdom. He saw that I was rising, he was rising, and he said, okay, wait. He said, I need time and you need time. And he stepped away into the room and left me in the living room. And he was gone for a while. He was gone for a while. But in that time, it allowed him to calm down. It allowed me to calm down. And when he came back out, he was ready to have a conversation. And he taught me how to have a conversation. He sat down and he looked me eye to eye. And he told me he had written down his thoughts. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but all I remember is that he made me feel safe. I didn't feel harmed by his words or his approach or his attitude or his opinion. Even though he thought one way and I thought the other, that was okay. In that moment, the way that he addressed it, because he addressed it in love, because he showed me that it's okay for us to calm down before we deal with any of that, he taught me how to have difficult conversations and how to check that baggage and deal with it before we share it with the world. So what baggage are you bringing along with you every day? And whose toes are you stepping on or rolling on with your baggage? And how can you address that? How can you deal with that? You know, I know for me, if I don't have my quiet time in the morning, it's probably going to be a rough day because I know me. I need that time. I need to recenter. I need to be focused. I need to remember why I do what I do. And when I do that, I can be better for everybody around me. So check your baggage at the gate. Don't expect everybody in your life to allow you to roll over their toes with all your thoughts, all your beliefs, all your opinions, all your attitudes, all your problems. We have to personally take responsibility for our own baggage so that we can interact with other people without bringing damage to them. The other thing I want to talk to you about today is your invisible backpack. And I brought a backpack today to talk to you about it. So every single one of us carries and has an invisible backpack. You have it on right now. You didn't know it. Maybe you didn't realize it, but every single one of us has an invisible backpack. And in that backpack is everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever been taught, what has been said about you and to you. All of your memories are in that backpack. And that backpack determines how you interact with other people. So if you've ever noticed that there's a person who just, every time you interact with them, it's really sharp, it's not you. It's because there's something in that person's backpack that causes them to react that way. And we are responsible, and students, this is the beautiful thing about higher education. You have the opportunity to open up your backpack and go through it and decide what you want to take further with you. So maybe there are some experiences or some lessons that you've been taught by your family, and they fit well with your future. They fit well with who you are and what you believe, and you decide you want to keep that with you, that you're going to take that along with you and you put it back in your backpack. But then maybe there's some things, some experiences that you've had that have been hard, that have been difficult, that have been different, and they just don't serve you well. So maybe that's an experience that you just set aside and decide that you're not going to take that along with you anymore. And you're not going to allow that to affect who you are and how you serve and how you love people on a daily basis. So students, you have this opportunity, this great opportunity to go through that backpack that you're wearing and to decide what things serve me and my community well. I'm going to hold on to those things. What things in my background, in my backpack, have been harmful to me, have hurt me, or maybe hurt others? Those are things, through working with others, through connecting with people who can help me, those are things that I'm going to set aside, and I'm just not going to carry them along into my future. So you can go through that invisible backpack. Assess, don't assume. The difference between hearing and listening, okay? If our bodies, our ears, have the ability and the faculty physically to hear, you can hear without doing any work. You know, my office is right around the corner from the emergency room. So as I'm working throughout the day, I hear sirens all day long. I don't have to work to hear those sirens because my ears have the capability of hearing. I automatically hear them. But you have to work to listen. You have to make sure that you are tuned in. You have to make sure that you're paying attention to the words and the body language, and then reflect to make sure you actually heard what was being communicated. We make so many assumptions about people. Maybe it's because of what they look like, or how they speak, or where they're from, or the family they come from, or their opinions, or their religion, for whatever reason. And when I say we, I'm just talking generally in America. We make so many assumptions, painful assumptions about people without knowing their story. And every single one of us has a story. So I want to encourage you, instead of assuming you know somebody, or assuming you know something about them just because of what you see, ask questions, have a conversation, listen to them. Again, even if your opinion or your thought or your belief is different, that's okay. That's okay. No one is forcing you to change your mind about what you believe unless you feel like you need to change your mind. What we're encouraging you to do is to listen and learn and ask questions and at least see that there's a different perspective, there's a different side to the story that maybe you've never been exposed to. You know, have you ever been the only one in the room? If you've ever been the only person of color, or if you've ever been the only person from your specific culture or your family, or if you've ever been the only person of a specific gender in the room, then you know what it feels like to maybe be misunderstood or feel like an outsider. Wouldn't it help our communities if we would all spend the time to have conversation and to ask questions and to learn from each other? And we can learn by asking direct questions. We can learn by doing our own research. We can learn, there's so much on YouTube and different places. Your professors will help you learn. It's okay to ask a question when you don't know, especially when your goal is just to understand and not necessarily to change a mind or to be right. So we need to, as civil leaders, stop making assumptions about who people are or why they do what they do, or if it's good or if it's bad, or if it should happen or if it shouldn't. I would encourage us to do some assessment, truly listen and ask good questions, and then make our decisions or cater our behavior based on what we're learning through the assessment and not depending on what we assume. So let me share one more, and then I have a story, and then we'll open it up for questions. My last behavior that I want to encourage you to do is find your middle. Find your middle. We are a society of extremes. I believe this, but I don't believe that. I am this political party or that political party. I believe this person, but I don't believe that person. I have this or I have that. It is so easy to live in extremes and to be comfortable there and to surround our people who think like us, who look like us, who act like us, who have the same experience as us. What I would encourage you to do is find your middle, not to jeopardize or violate your personal values, but make sure they're your personal values and that you know why you believe in them. And they're not just something that you've been taught and you just held on to, but you have your personal values and you have an understanding of what those values mean to you. But then open yourself to learn from other perspectives. There are people who have experiences and cultures that we have never seen. When I graduated college, I moved from South Carolina. I had spent my entire life in South Carolina, grew up in Crocketville, as I told you, went to college in Charleston, beautiful time, but I just needed something different. I just needed out, and I didn't really know why. I just needed a new experience. And I found myself in San Antonio, Texas. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. In San Antonio, we created a family of people who were not from Texas. Some of my friends were in the Air Force or the Army. Others of us found ourselves in San Antonio for different reasons. We were different cultures. I learned so much about brothers and sisters who didn't look like me and who didn't grow up like me. We celebrated each other's birthdays. We showed up for each other in times of need. I remember when I was in San Antonio and I lost my grandmother, all of my friends showed up at my apartment that night, and we were all there together, just there. They were just there for me. They were just there. It was such a rich experience because it was different than anything I had ever seen in my entire life. And it just solidified to me the power of community. People, human beings caring for human beings learning from human beings. So I would encourage you, as you find your middle, seek to understand and not to be right. Maybe you are right to you, and that's okay. But listen and assess and ask questions to understand, to see a new perspective. Look for best solutions, because there may not be a right. Right for whom? Who's it right for? Who does it leave out? Who is negatively affected by this right decision? Who's positively affected? So make sure that you find your middle in every situation and understand that there are different perspectives to every situation that we face. So let me leave you with this. This is a picture of a memorial service that we had when I worked at Georgia Southern University. And this is always a little tough for me to talk about, but I think it's important. I was at Georgia Southern for 13 years, and I served as Dean of Students there before I left. And this was a memorial service for 5 nursing students who passed away in a car accident. We had 2 students who were injured, and we lost 5 students in one day. It was the most devastating day of my entire career. The reason why I share this picture with you is on the day of this memorial service, and I don't know if you can see exactly how many people, but there's a stage up front, right in front of the administrative building. That's how far back this crowd was. In the moment of this picture, in this memorial service, it didn't matter if you were Black or white or brown. It didn't matter if you were Christian or Muslim or Jewish or any other religion. It did not matter if you were from the country or from the city. It did not matter if you came from a big family or a small family. The only thing that mattered in this moment was that we were a community in pain. And we were human beings who were supporting and loving on each other. Nobody cared about a political party. Nobody cared about who was right and wrong. In this moment, all that mattered is that we could all be there together. We are in a moment right now in our country. We are in a moment in this world. We have and we continue to live through a global pandemic. We have seen unrest in our streets. We are watching our justice system, and some have concerns about it. We are watching race against race and thought against thought. We are in a moment, and we are in a moment where we need leaders like you to stand up and rise up, and within your realm of influence, make the decision that I am going to be a responsible leader. I am going to be a civil leader. I am going to recognize that there's more than one perspective than mine. I am going to recognize that in this moment, we need each other. We need community, and we need strong communities. We need human beings who love each other, who will support each other, who will stand by each other, and who will refuse to allow our differences to separate us. So I challenge you today to be that leader. Students, you be that leader. Even if those who may be older than you or have more degrees or have more experience than you, you might be the influence in your family. You might be the influence in your classroom. You might be the influence in your residence hall. For our staff members, you may be the one person that everybody needs to see who's bringing the whole team together. For our faculty members, you may be the only voice that a student has exposure to that will encourage them to be a strong leader, to focus on community. All of us have a responsibility right now, and all of us are needed. We're in a moment, and I believe we're going to come out of this moment and we're going to be okay. But it is my prayer and my hope that we come out of this better and stronger than we've ever been. And that, my friends, is up to us. So will you take the challenge today? Will you decide that you're going to do everything that you can to strengthen your community at East Georgia College, but also every community that you're a part of? Because you're going to watch your words. You're going to check your baggage. You're going to assess and not assume. You're going to find your middle, and you're going to take care of the people around you. So that's what I have for you today. Feel free to stay in touch. I would love to hear from you. We're going to open up the chat as well. Actually, right now, we're going to open up the chat. So if you have questions that you would like to type, I encourage you to do that. I know that we have folks looking through YouTube and through D2L. So wherever you are, wherever you're joining us today, I encourage you to share your questions. And we are going to work through some of those questions now. So if you want this information, take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone if that's important to you. And then I'm going to stop sharing so that we can have a little discussion. I think we're good on time. All right, let's see.
So, Dr. Jackson, one question that I saw is whether you might be able to recommend some books to freshmen that they could read.
Oh, that is an excellent question. That's a really good question. So one book, I guess, that I'm focused on right now, and this is to anyone who enjoys reading, is How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. And this would apply to our first year students, any of our students, our faculty, or our staff member. Sometimes we feel like we have to have the title. Whatever the title is, we have to have the top title to be the leader in the room. But this book encourages that there's leadership on every level. And we need those leaders to rise up. So the one book that's on my mind fresh right now that I'm reading is How to Lead When You're Not in Charge.
Another question that I thought would be interesting is a lot of the communication these days, of course, because you mentioned body language, a lot of the communication is via social media and phone texts. In the power of words, maybe you might want to say something about the power of words and that way of communicating.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for that question. Absolutely. Technology is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's the reason why we can be connected right now. And it has helped us through this pandemic to stay connected. The challenge with technology, social media specifically, is that there's the opportunity to use the weapon of our words without taking responsibility for them. It is so much easier to tweet, to post, to share something that may be harmful to other people, something that may be hurtful to other people, when you don't have to look those people in the face and when you don't have to physically be in the same room with them. But I would encourage our students to remember that words have power, whether they are said verbally, whether they are typed or tweeted or posted. I have seen over and over and over how our communities, especially our college communities, have been challenged by words and by opinions through social media. So I would encourage students to take responsibility for what you share, whether you're saying it verbally or whether you're typing it or tweeting it or texting it or posting it. But also, I would encourage all of your students to speak up for your community. If anything is posted or shared that is negative or that is hurtful to a group of people, you can be that student to say, that's not what we do at East Georgia State College. That's not who we are as a community. We take care of each other and we respect each other regardless of who we are. So you can be that leader to speak up in a positive way, because sometimes it takes a strong positive word to overcome that strong negative word.
Dr. Jackson, there's a question from the library chat. Would you recommend any podcast?
Oh gosh, what a good question. So I am just getting into podcasts myself right now. So I would take some recommendations if you all have some. I've been connected with Michelle Obama's podcast recently, and also Bakari Sellers. Bakari Sellers is a politician from South Carolina. He actually grew up about 15 minutes from Crocketville, so he's from the country too, but like me. But I've enjoyed his podcast as well. So those are two that I've been exposed to recently that I would share with you. Good question.
So given the discussion that you presented and given many of the racial tensions that we see in society today and issues of social justice, how are you perceiving the scenario these days? Because some people might see it as kind of bleak, the situation we're in.
You know, I appreciate that question, and it's interesting. So you all hang on in there. Let me take you for a little ride. So what we have experienced has been devastating. We've seen people lose their lives. We have definitely seen unrest and destruction. But at the same time, I believe that it is bringing us to a place that we are addressing some things that we've needed to address for a long time. And I think it is calling us as a country to face some things that we don't want to look at. You know, and I'll step aside and then I'll come back to the point. So my husband recently had surgery and he has a wound. And I've been helping him care for that wound. If I refuse to look at the wound, then I can't help him with it. I believe that what we're going through right now is causing us to see that there are people who are hurting, whether we realized it or not. And there are things that we can do in our country to strengthen the fabric of who we are, but also to help different communities of people. So although it's been really tough, and we've never seen anything like this, we've never seen all of these things converging at the same time, I truly believe that in the end of this, if we respond well, it's going to make us stronger. Sometimes the greatest transformation comes out of the greatest trials. And we are in the midst of our greatest trial, but we need people who will remain hopeful no matter what. and know that history has seen trouble before. Maybe we haven't seen it in this way, but history has seen it before and we've come through before. I believe we're going to come through again. So I remain hopeful.
We have another question from the library chat. So how do we reach our leaders so they listen to us when our thought and questions seem to be ignored? You know, for example, the person said they often feel that our leader only have deaf ears and only hear what they want to hear. What are some strategies that could work?
Sure. I've been in a position where I felt like what we were saying or what we need to share wasn't heard. I've also been at the tables where things are being discussed and things are happening, but maybe people don't know that things are happening. What I would encourage, and I'll give you an example, this summer here at Augusta University, our students became very vocal about some of the things that they've seen happen in our country. And they had questions about how we were going to respond here at Augusta University. So instead of hoping it would go away, we had listening sessions. Even while everybody was away, you know, we only had a certain number of students in the residence hall who stayed with us and didn't have another place to go. Everybody was remote at home. We didn't wait. We decided you want to share and we need to hear it. So as a person who feels like maybe you're not being heard, is there an opportunity for you to share the invitation or to bring other people together? And sometimes that starts with your department chair or your director. Sometimes it starts right where you are. Can we sit down and talk about what these concerns are? And I would encourage you not just to bring a concern, but bring a possible resolution as well. That doesn't mean the outcome is going to be exactly what you ask for, but at least you've given the conversation some strength because you brought a possible outcome and it can be built upon from there. So start where you are, sharing where you are. And I'll say one more thing about this. There have been situations where I felt like I shared and nothing happened, or even maybe I got a no, like that's not happening. And then time happened. And all of a sudden, what I proposed was what we needed. So sometimes it's timing. So don't throw those ideas away. Don't let them go because maybe you got a no or you got a not right now. Sometimes it's not just the right time. There are all kinds of systems and authority and different things, especially when we report up to the state and a system. There are all kinds of constituents involved. So it's not just the leaders that you think, but there are lots of leaders in our scenario. So start where you are, bring a solution with the problem, but also don't throw it away if it doesn't go as fast as you like. Keep sharing until you see something happen.
And I would like to add for all of our students in the audience, faculty are aware of this, but especially the newer students that we're inducting today, this is the beginning. Today's session is the beginning of an ongoing process of dealing with these issues, listening to other people. The Convocation Committee and the Culture of Respect Task Force are going to be organizing additional events where you can share your views, not just vocally, but also creatively. We plan on having all kinds of ideas to. One of the ideas is to sort of build a wall of what students and other people see as problems in society that need to be dealt with. And then we can start breaking down that wall. In fact, the idea was to build the wall before today's session and then break it down during the session. Wow. Unfortunately, there wasn't, students weren't as around. And so we're going to be doing that for some other session. But there's going to be all kinds of opportunities to continue these kinds of discussions. And for you students out there, and faculty, of course, I've already received a lot of ideas that we're going to start sharing to decide what to do. But students also, we want students to be involved. So if you have ideas and you want to be more involved, let your faculty members know, and they will let you know how to get in touch with us. But I think also what you said was was what you had mentioned earlier, that you can hear, but you're not actually listening, which is what that question was about. You know, some of our leaders may be hearing, but are they really listening?
Absolutely. Yeah. And for those who are sharing, don't get weary. Don't get discouraged. You may be the one. You may be the person that's going to bring it forward and eventually bring change and an improvement for everybody. So don't allow yourself to be discouraged. Continue. Have good relationships with people. Do it and package it well. Package your words well. But don't get weary and don't get discouraged. If it is that important to you, it's probably important to somebody else.
Yes, and I think also important was sort of when you were talking about discussions that you've had and it seems like nothing was going anywhere, and then all of a sudden one day it happens. It's like planting seeds. You know, seeds are not all going to flourish, but eventually some of them will take root and some of them will start to grow.
That's so good. Yes, sir. Absolutely. What other questions do you have?
Any other questions or comments? I think another observation based on the discussions that we've been having is to develop those critical thinking skills. Remember that everything you get on your cell phones, everyone is being micro-targeted today because of how you use the internet and what you do with your cell phones. The information you get is already going through a filter. So you need to work hard to actually see other viewpoints because everything now is so easily filtered. So I think that's another important thing that sort of triggered in my head during your conversation.
That is so important, so easily triggered and just not true. Some things are just not true. You know, some things are misleading on purpose. Mm-hmm. And we have to invest the time and the energy that it takes to really do our own research and figure out how much of this is true and how much of it is propaganda. And we're all responsible. We're all responsible. So yes, we have a level of responsibility there to investigate truth, investigate facts. To see to gather enough information to make decisions for yourself and for your families.
Yes, this is what your new involvement at East Georgia State College is for all of you students out there. This is just the beginning of developing those critical thinking skills that you will be using throughout your life to figure out what is actually happening. It's really not our job at East Georgia State College is not just about, it's more than giving you answers, it's getting you to ask the right questions and to think about whether the answers you get are first adequately resolve the issue, but even if they don't, are those answers what is really important, or is making sure you're asking the right questions?
Absolutely, yes. I would also encourage just showing grace to each other, you know, because sometimes we don't ask the question because we're concerned that somebody's going to be offended by the question. We want to know, we want to have more information, but we're nervous about saying anything because we're afraid of what the response will be. If we can just focus on showing grace to each other and recognizing that none of us know it all, but we're willing to walk through it together and support and help each other, I think that will create a stronger community. I see all of your comments. Thank you so much.
Someone has asked whether there's some type of mentor-mentee support system. I know that we have mentor-mentee relationships where we connect with certain students and sort of become their mentor. But, you know, if you're interested in dealing with more political kinds of of issues or broader kinds of issues, you might want to check out the different clubs that exist, even though now they're more virtual, of course. Everything's more virtual. But also, if it's like political issues, check with the political science faculty. Or, worst comes to worst, check with the dean, your dean, and we can help figure out some of these kinds of concerns. I don't know if you'd like to add to that, because their mentor-mentee relationships are not, we have them on campus, but there are also national ones, for example, in different professions. If you're thinking about going into a particular profession, even though you're a student right now, you can connect with certain organizations that could connect you with a mentor to help you through the process. So that's what.
And we also have a student leadership program at the college, but every year, I think around 20 students are selected, and they have activities, and I think it's Miss Stacy who organized this.
Yeah, and I also see that every student has an academic advisor.
That's right.
So if you want to start with your academic advisor, what I would encourage you concerning mentors, first of all of us love it when someone wants to hear more about the work that we do or the research that we've done. I get so excited when someone wants to talk to me about higher education or student affairs, because I'm so passionate about it. So please know that those doors are open, but make sure you do a proper invitation, an email. Make sure you respect their time, that you come with your questions ready, or maybe you share those questions ahead of time to help your mentor, because most of the time, if it's a person that you want to be mentored by, that's probably a really busy person. It probably means they have a lot going on in their lives. So don't be shy. If you want to be a dentist, or you want to be a doctor, and you want to reach out to a local dentist or a local doctor, they would be honored to connect with you. So make sure you respect their time, but don't hesitate. There's so many of us out here who have had people to have a positive impact on our lives, and now we want to do that for others. So we look forward to connecting with you.
I would add a couple of more things. The Beth Jones from the library is reminding everyone that the library is there to help you do research and help you with other issues. And another student said that there are no clubs at Statesboro. I have two things to say about that. Mostly, the clubs are going to be mostly virtual these days, so that's not as much of a hindrance. But at Statesboro, you also can be in the Southern Georgia campus, and they have clubs also. You have access to to what's going on that campus. You officially have access to those issues.
And someone for the library also mentioned the SGA, the Student Government Association.
Yes.
That's our, student leader, Yes.
I would remind you all that your student government has a direct connection with the University System of Georgia. They listen to our student government leaders and what they have to share about the student experience. So if you've never attended an SGA meeting, or you don't know who your SGA leaders are, get to know them. Because these students, they meet with Dr. Bomer and other administrators, but they also meet with state representatives to share what you need and what your concerns are. So definitely, I will always support SGA.
So this is, unless there are additional questions, this has been great, because not only do you motivate people by reminding them about how to deal with their life in the future as they develop, but it's also gotten us able to discuss how they can do this locally, whether it's on our campus or in the broader field, and how they can learn to flourish in our system, this is all about flourishing. And I think, just like we were saying, the important thing is asking the right questions. That also means not being afraid to reach out if you need some kind of assistance. And if you think that one individual isn't helping you adequately, then reach out to other individuals so that we can work that out. But I think in the end, this whole discussion has been really worthwhile in terms of how our new freshman class can learn to navigate and become better educated individuals, which is all what it's about. And this country really requires this. Every country needs educated citizens to help that society flourish.
Well, I appreciate this conversation, and I just want to encourage your first year students one more time. You can do this. You are well able, and it is worth it. It is worth it. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you. Surround yourself with people who will challenge you. Sometimes even those who are closest to us may not understand the path that we're on or why we are doing what we're doing. But if you know it's right and it's going to serve you well and serve the community well, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be your own encourager. Be your own cheerleader. You can do this, and it will impact your life and generations to come. It may be generations you may not meet, but because of what you are doing right now with your life, you have impacted them in a positive way. So we are all here. We are all cheering you on, and we are in your corner. There was a request for me to share my contact one more time. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll share
that's
one
fine.
more time so that you all can have that, if that's okay. I shared weekly motivation on Instagram and YouTube. So if you need a little inspiration right now, feel free to connect with me there, or anyway, I'm always available to help, to encourage, to challenge. But I love to connect with all of you, and I feel like a part of the East Georgia family. So thank you all for having me today.
Thank you.
Before we officially began convocation, I was telling Dr. Jackson that there may be some pauses, because of technical challenges and everything. But then I also said, if we were having the face-to-face convocation in the large auditorium, there would be time where people are walking up to the podium and walking down, and we'd be seeing it, but there would be pauses also. So in a way, this virtual experience has actually saved us time because of the less walking and exchanging and everything. So, but the important thing is all about the message that was sent and the introduction to our new students to get more involved. And I think we've achieved our goals. So unless there are any additional questions, we'll have a little pause of a few seconds to see if there's anything else. And if not, then I will hand it over to Dr. Chevalier to sort of close the session.
Okay. So I would like to thank Dr. Jackson again for an outstanding and very inspirational presentation. I would also like to thank all the members of the convocation committee, Dr. Cunha, Ms. Christie, Ms. Catmoor, Joe Kennedy, for all the hard work, and making this 2020 convocation a success. Thanks, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for coming, and thank you again, Dr. Jackson.
Thanks,
Good
Dr.
luck,
Jackson.
good luck, students and everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Bomer. Thank you so much. So good to see you again, sir. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Cunha. It was my honor. I appreciate you all allowing me to be a part of the ceremony.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.